Going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Taylor Swift, also known as T Swift, thanks to the Urban Dictionary. Well, she has endorsed Kamala Harris and Tim Walz while holding a cat. Because, of course. Now, this might be the biggest blow to all 18 Swifties who like Trump. I'm only partially kidding. I would love to see the statistical data on, what is the average voter demographic of Taylor Swift. And she is one of the most followed, influential people when it comes to country music. And she is very big on the Instagram. But let's read her nice. She did, I'm not sure if she's paid per word, but I mean, this is almost like a book. So she's very, I was about to say articulate, very detailed on her statement. And yeah, spoiler alert, here's her holding the cat. And she says, quote, actually, I don't know what kind of accent she has. Nevertheless, she says, quote, like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stances the candidates take on topics that matter to you the most. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for the country. Unquote. Starting off strong. That's pretty articulate. Most Americans would agree with her. Not very controversial. She were to stop right there, there'd be literally no effect on her sales of her merchandise or CDs, whatever she sells these days. And music would be pretty uncontroversial, and everyone would tune in and buy her 8 tracks, whatever she sells these days, and learn about all her stories of just a lineup of men being bad boyfriends for her. I'm sure she'll find a good guy soon. That's funny because for decades, no, she has not. And statistically speaking, I don't know what Las Vegas odds are on, but no, I don't think she'll ever find someone compatible. But that's just me. Now she continues saying, quote, recently I was made aware that AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted on his site. It was really conjured some fears of mine around AI and dangers of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation is the truth. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them. I don't know what she's done for the past 3 years, but I partially digress. I'll go back to the quote. Quote, I think she's a steady-handed, as I say, headed, thinking about her earlier career, but nevertheless, I think she's a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if you're led by calm and not chaos. I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of running mate Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, and women's right to her own body for decades, unquote. Taylor Swift forgot the IA. She'll be canceled today, mark my words. Kidding. Her fans will love her no matter what, mostly. Now, continue her quote. It's almost done, I promise. Quote, I've done my research and I've made my choice. Your research is all yours to do. The choice is yours to make. I also want to say, especially for first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you must be registered. I also find it's much easier to vote early. I'll link to where to register and find early voting dates and info in my story. With love and hope, Taylor Swift, childless cat lady. Indeed, she is. Although I'm sure she'll find husbands. I mean, no, she won't. Again, what is the Las Vegas odds for her to actually find a husband that will fulfill, she'll always be happy? I don't want to say it's zero, but it's approximately 0.0000000001379%, approximately. And yeah. Wait, wasn't Tim Walz busted for lying about IVF? And again, one of the biggest controversial things, especially when it comes to the abortion debate, when it comes to Tim Walz, Minnesota allows it all the way up to birth. Which, again, if you poll most Americans are not happy with that methodology. If you look at the average of, what Americans think where you should or should not be allowed to do an abortion, big point of contention or really kind of unification is usually around like 16 to 24 weeks. That's when most people say after that point, they don't feel it should be. Again, that's just over the average. Also, this is a state rights issue, yet they keep campaigning on it and saying it's going to be the biggest issue for this election. And I'm not saying people are not going to vote for Kamala because of that argument, but obviously it's not really founded in reality because, again, it's back to the state's rights. So if you have abortion all the way up to day of birth, they have it. It's called Minnesota. you're more conservatively minded, you don't want to have abortion at all. There are places like Missouri and other states where it's very, very more so restricted. With, again, the usual biggest caveats or exceptions are in the exceptions for rape, incest, as well as health of the mother. An overwhelming majority of the time when there is limits on abortion, those are usually the traditional carve outs or caveats to those situations. And yet, again, it's a states' rights issue. If you want to change, go to Hobby Lobby, get some nice cardstock or poster board, and let your opinion peacefully known, brother, what do you want to do? And they keep mentioning it because, again, they'll get people out to vote, which just, yeah, so ridiculous. They keep saying, this is really important for this election. Again, if it's really important, vote on state, vote on state level. But again, I know a lot of people aren't doing a lot of research. I think they should. And yeah, now here's some of the top responses. One of the first ones comes from Megyn Kelly, which, see here, this comes from Eddie. It says, quote, Megyn Kelly on Taylor Walz endorsement. She's disgusting. F you, Taylor Swift. And it's about minute 29, though Megyn Kelly's voice is infinitely better than mine. So without too much further ado.
Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala Harris. Taylor Swift, yeah. She posts a picture of herself with her cat. Would you look at this? You can, of course. Like, you can kiss your sales to the Republican audience goodbye, Taylor. Hope you enjoyed them while you had them.
I mean, if that's a male cat, that might be the only male that never leaves her. So maybe that's why she's hugging it really tight. I'm only partially speculating. Only kidding. Maybe just a little kidding. Maybe not.
I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of her running mate, Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBTQ rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. Oh, my God. So this woman is fine with his plan to take custody of the children from parents who don't want them to chop off their body parts and put them in Minnesota court's custody so the body parts can be chopped off and they can be sterilized outside the custody of their parents. That's what led Taylor Swift to endorse him. Some lunatic dropped a note in my personal mailbox outside my house begging me not to boycott Taylor Swift, as though I have that power. I'm allowed to criticize Taylor Swift, and I don't give a shit who gets upset. This is disgusting. If she wants to vote Harris Walz, she can do it all she wants. But to say the reason she's doing it is because of Tim Walz's stance on LGBTQ, F you, Taylor Swift. And F all of the people who want to see these children have body parts chopped off and watch them sterilized under the age of consent, and then will ride off to their multi-gazillion-dollar mansions, never to think of them again.
Well, quite the antithesis. The doctors actually get a lifetime customer because of all the upkeep you have to do in the situation. So, right, fiscally beneficial for them in that regard. And Megyn Kelly bringing the heat, says they gave 1.5 million views as well, and some pushback here, or a little support, a little pushback. One of the first comments comes from Steven, saying Kelly has a point, getting 182 likes. He's saying yep, getting 45 likes. Jeannie Robinson says, quote, Taylor Swift is a dumb, satanic, nice way of saying this, woman of the night. The world is maddeningly evil, getting 270 likes, which is also really strange. I've never heard someone say they're going to vote for someone because of the vice president. That's why I really debate. Is it just because Walz is more favorable than Kamala in recent polling or recent studies, or more appealing to the average voter? Maybe that's why she's doing that. But I don't know. Does Taylor Swift live in Minnesota or something? To me, that's even more bizarre. Candace says Taylor should bring her cat to Springfield, getting 146 likes. Let's see here. Luke Ryan says Megyn Kelly cosplaying as Melania, just her picture of her and Trump, getting 68 likes. Randy Bellinvindez says then Taylor Swift turns off the comments, getting 58 likes, which, yeah, I'm sure she did. Yankees Girl 1776 says, quote, and think of how many of those under the age children are Swiftie fans. Sends a horrific message to them about body mutilation is okay, getting 108 likes. Going back. VR 549 says Taylor Swift ticket $500, new outfit $500, iPhone 15 $1,500, can't pay student loans back, priceless. Getting 78 likes, which who the hell spends $500 on an outfit is beyond me. Like, my suit was well under that, and this thing has lasted more than almost a decade by now. I get my use out of this suit. A says Taylor Swift's new album cover just dropped. Catastrophic. I heard it's perfect. I get A+ for puns. There's an AI generated image of Taylor Swift holding a cat running away from some migrants, getting 28 likes. Lexian says any woman listening to Taylor Swift, bad news, getting 78 likes. Jan says a fake singer-songwriter for a fake candidate. Is anyone surprised? And who gives a crap about what Taylor Swift thinks? She has more money than God, and she can care less about the struggles of her fans or families. Getting 32 likes. Which, yeah, it's never lost on me that it's hilarious how Taylor Swift has just made a whole career off of having a bored taste and making bad choices in her dating life. Like, that is every one of her songs. Don't get me wrong, still ridiculously successful. One of the first billionaires out there when it comes to the music industry. But yeah, a couple of people doing a lot of AI generated parodies of Taylor Swift. So a lot of pushback, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, realistically, does her album sales really drop? Well, not drop in terms of release date, but they drop in sales. So she actually start to lose that any monetary value because of her stance in politics. The people who, I guess that's a good question. Does the average person separate the creator or the artist from their personal lives or political opinions? That's kind of the debate. That debate has been had in the art community for decades or more. Let me know in the comments. Do you think she'll lose a single fan because of this, or she'll even lose $1 more because of this? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Don't forget to take the time to, of course, like, subscribe, and comment. Also, don't forget to take the time to really just take 1 second to click that like button. I have that theory. When I first started the show, I could barely speak at all. I was more or less terribly inarticulate, but as I slowly but surely gained more and more subscribers, I've slowly but surely become more articulate. Feeling my theory that the more people that click that button, the better I'll be able to speak. And someday make it through an entire episode without a single speaking mishap. A tall order, some might say, but a goal nevertheless. Also, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.